Hello, everybody. Come on in. Come on in. How are you? Can you guys hear me? I don't know why you guys have, hello, Juan. I see Estella. Hold on a second here. Let me, can you see me, guys? Yeah, let me see you in the chat. Come on in. I don't know why you guys are, hold on a second. Yeah, let me, no. Yeah, okay, there we go. All right, let me know if you're here. And yeah, if you can, put in the drop-down menu to everyone. You see this drop-down menu in the chat? I want you to say to everyone, if you can. Come on in. We're going to start in just a second. Estella, I can see you. Neil, I can see you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, awesome. Let's see. Neil, is that you? Neil Apostle. How come you have, let me see. Why is I don't want audio either here. It's very strange. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see what's going on here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, so you should be able to go into chat and you can ask me any question you want. Okay. All right, come on in. I see a lot of people coming in. By the way, this is going to be, welcome to our first webinar. This is our first webinar. Let me see here. Yeah, this is our first webinar of many for BUAD 301. And let's see. Okay, so I'm going to open up the chat window. I'm going to screen share. Hi, Sarah. How are you? I don't know why you guys have video. It's you should just be able to. You can't hear me, Manuel? Why can't you hear me? How many people can't hear me? Raise their hand or just put a Y in the chat. Can you hear me now, Manuel? Okay, I can hear. Christopher can hear. I cannot hear you. I can't. Wait, you cannot hear me right now? Why is this? Okay. I should be the only one that you should be able to hear. Okay, nobody can hear me. Really? Okay. Yeah, you gotta be able to. Perry can hear me. Okay, you gotta be able to click on when you join the meeting. Click on join audio conference and get your audio set. It's very easy. It's not difficult at all. Just give me a second here. I'm going to let's see. Okay. Hector can hear me. Okay, fantastic. That's good. Hector can hear me. That's okay. That's great. All right. I'm going to screen share. Make sure that if you do have a question, okay, I'm going to keep the chat window open. If you do have a question, welcome to the BUAD 301 webinar. We got to get started here. I don't know why some of you have video access and don't. I'm the only one that should have video access. So I must have done something where it allowed you to have video. But I think we're good now. And Hector, you can hear me, right? Can you hear me now, Sarah? Chelsea, if you didn't connect, yeah, you're right, Chelsea. Very good. Joshua, the live link in titanium didn't work. I just opened the link that we tested in class. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, okay, Sarah can hear me. Yeah, sometimes when you log in, sometimes it takes a little second just to kind of, especially if you're logging in from a funky device, sometimes it takes a little second or two to kind of get going. But can you see me and hear me? Give me some Y's in the chat if you can see me and hear me. I'm going to be screen sharing here in just a second. Welcome to the BUAD 301 webinar. We're going to be doing this a lot this semester. Okay, I'm going to put the chat window over here. Okay. Make sure when you go into the chat, make sure that you click on the drop-down menu, and in the chat it says either to everyone or to certain individuals. Make sure you click on everyone, okay? I'm going to write this in the chat. Thank you, Estella. Click on the drop-down menu, okay? And select everyone, okay? Just so everyone can see your question if you have a question. Okay. Yeah, my webcam is on. Why? You can't tell? You can't see me? Is that what you're saying, Neil? You can't see me. Okay, well, the reason you can't see me is probably because you don't have your video turned on. You should be able to access video. You should be able to see me. Unless you're did you click on call in, or did you actually click the link that opened up on your computer? It depends on where you're watching from as well. How many people can see the screen? Give me some Y's. Or give me an N if you can't see the screen. Okay, thank you, Juan. Thank you, Christopher. Okay, great. Tommy Cho's in the house. Okay, Hymanot, good to see you. All right, so let's get started. So last week we talked about the fact that everything is going to be based around the case analysis, okay? Make sure you finish your diagnostic exam. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about, now you see every weekly schedule is on Titanium, okay? It's not on, you should have been able to click this right here. This would send you to the meeting. And by the way, I am recording this. Let me see if I am recording this. Yeah. So if you happen to miss anything, or if there's anything that you want to just go over again, I'm going to be uploading this to a private university YouTube page. It's going to be a private link because I tried to do it in the cloud, and I tried to, it was just too large of a file because these big, long webinars, they're usually, if it's anything over 100 megabytes, and instead of having you guys download it, download the full video, I'm going to get a little bit more light in here. I know. Can you guys see me okay? Is the lighting okay? I don't want to turn in all my studio lights. You see my little hashtag sign here, Nez Nation, because I host a podcast and a Facebook Live talk show. Let me know if the lighting, if I need to turn on maybe more lights. It gets so hot in my studio, and it's been just terrible weather lately. Thank you so much, Hymanot. Appreciate that. Thank you, Manuel. Okay, so here's the thing is I will be posting, thank you, Sarah. I will be posting a link, okay, to this recording probably later today. It needs time to process and it needs time to render, but I'll be posting a link to this recording later. Now, so again, just to kind of go over a couple of things. This entire class, everybody pay attention now. This entire class is based on the case analysis, okay? And what is a case? How many people have actually read this document right here? What is a case? Give me a Y if you've read that already. If you haven't, it's okay. Estella, good for you. I want to just go over this really quickly, this document, because this is what this entire class is going to be all about. And there's really two documents that are going to really help you when it comes to writing case analyses and what they're all about and why they're so important, okay? Okay, good. Some of you have read them. Do you have any questions on what is a case? Literally, here's the deal. This is what a case is. A case is literally just a problem. That's it. I mean, this document here, it gets really involved as far as, problems and, uh, uh, you know, let me see here. Yeah, so this actually, is a really pretty involved definition. And don't worry so much about the types of cases. Most of the cases that we're going to be doing are going to be cases that are either field cases or library cases. And we're not going to be doing a lot of armchair cases, but this is probably the most important part of this document is the 5 steps, okay, that you need to really pay attention to when you're attacking a case, okay? So every case analysis is worth 100 points. It's going to be in class. Okay, they're going to be in-class case analyses, and I'll talk a little bit about next week, and I'll talk about what's going to be happening. Um, and you're never given the prompt before the actual case analysis, okay? But you're given plenty of preparation. And actually, all of my in-class writing, all my in-class case analysis, it's open book, open note. So you can always refer to all these documents, okay? All these documents and course documents, you can refer to them. Your welcome manual. Yeah, as a matter of fact, no other BUAD 301 professor at Cal State Fullerton allows you to use the documents or have open book. And the way that I look at it is you still have to do all the writing on your own. You still have to create the, problem statement, which I'm going to go over really quickly, and the long-term, short-term. You still have to do all that on your own. Why would I make it even more difficult for you by not allowing you to look at some of the guides? It doesn't make any sense. You still have to create on your own. I definitely want you guys to pay attention to this document here, an example of a case analysis. It's a very, very important document. And then really the kind of end all be all, this is a good example right here of an actual case analysis. And I want to make this, I'm going to talk about the style in just a second. Let me also open the course rubric as well. This is really the entire class. I mean, literally, guys, every single assignment, because the final is worth, pretty much almost your entire grade. The final is worth 30% of your grade. I mean, that's a big chunk of change. That's not my doing, by the way. That's the department. The department is really, really stiff about that, and they're rigid, and they want that to be that way. I personally don't think it's fair, but your final is, this is stuff that's beyond my control. The department really controls a lot of the BUAD 301 professors. A lot of the grading, a lot of the application, this is the one university. I mean, I teach at many different places, but because this is state and it's very kind of regimented, just to be very, very honest with you guys, everything comes down from the department, and we don't really have any say as professors. So I'm going to also, let me see, did I get my class rubric? Okay. So I'm also going to, let me see here. This didn't download, it looks like, or maybe it did. Yeah. So this is something that we talked a little bit about this in class, maybe not extensively. But isn't this technology cool, by the way, you guys? Isn't this great? Instead of sitting in class, I mean, we can do this from our own convenience, and I have a recording.
Yes.
Give me a why if you think this is badass, because I sure do. Who am I listening to right now? Yes, I got to sleep in, Victoria. Wait a minute. Who am I listening to right now? Somebody's talking. Oh my gosh, why am I listening to people? Everybody should be muted when they come in here. Mute your audio when you're coming in, because I can hear somebody talking. Let's see. Yeah, mute participants. Okay, it looks like we're getting more and more people in. Fantastic. Therese is here. Let's do a roll call. Yeah, Tommy, isn't this fantastic? It's great. And it's so much more convenient. It's so much more 21st century. I mean, all the classes should be like this. Let me know who's here, because I can't actually see because we're screen sharing. Put your name in the chat. Just say here. I'll see your name. Just put here in the chat so I can see who's here. And then I'm going to record this. This will all be recorded so I can, okay, good. Sarah, Nan, Therese, An is here, Karen, Perry, Hymanot. Okay, good. Yeah, just let me know that you're here. Type here in the chat. Okay, so a couple of documents that we're going to go over a little bit more extensively. The class rubric, which we kind of went over last week. And this is something you should definitely pay attention to. And again, all of these documents are located, right? All of these documents are located in course documents, okay? And you can see them. This is an example of what you're going to be pretty much writing the entire semester. This is an example, like the 5-step case analysis. Now, Professor Nez, what do you mean by the 5-step case analysis? Well, I'm going to show you. This document right here, the 5-step case analysis. Okay, this is everything. This is what you need to follow, and then I'll talk about the format in just a second, okay? So you're going to be, so as I said before, this class, well, let me start from the beginning. As I said before, this class is primarily made up of the case analysis. You're going to be using your critical thinking skills. You're going to be using your problem solving skills. Everybody, I want all of you to understand that these are the skills that are going to earn you top dollar in the real world. These are the skills that the robots cannot do. Your intellectual capital, your ability to look at a problem and come up with very productive, creative solutions using your critical thinking, using your communications, writing down a step-by-step problem analysis, and solving issues, right? That's what all companies want from their employers. That's what all investors want from their board, right? And their CEO. So that's what this entire class is all about, okay? I even stated here, if you look, and by the way, anytime we have a webinar, instead of coming to class, you'll see this. I'll make sure and put this in the actual weekly module. Again, everything is located in Titanium. All your course documents, every single weekly schedule. Okay, we have our very first in-class case analysis next week. So our very first in-class writing exam is next week, which is why this is so important. But again, there's no surprises. Everything's the same. Everything stays the same. Everything's about a case analysis. Management, communication, and transition, and analyzing a case study. Make sure you read these. And again, those of you who are just joining, I'm going to allow you to use your book. I'm going to allow you to use your notes, okay? You're going to have an hour and 30 minutes, 90 minutes to complete the in-class. The final exam is the only in-class case analysis where you have an hour and 50 minutes. But every other case analysis prior to that is an hour and 30 minutes, 90 minutes, okay? This is a really great, this appendix in your, let me see, in your book, this actually has, this is a great example. Let me see here if I can open this. This is a non-secure form. Okay, I don't care. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, anyway, make sure that you, how many people have access to the book still? I think we're supposed to have access till September 5. If you have not gotten that, make sure that you get that. Also, make sure you get the Dr. Lane casebook. How many people still haven't, how many people have received it or at least ordered all of their books? Give me a Y. And let me know if you haven't yet. Okay, Leah, thank you. Tommy, Victoria, thank you. Sarah, Professor, but any tips to do better on the first case? No, it's not a dumb question, Hector. That's not a dumb question at all. Absolutely not. I definitely will answer that in just a second. As a matter of fact, Hector, ask me in about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. I want to go over the 5-step case analysis and then ask that question again, Hector. Not a dumb question, not at all. I'm happy to help. Yeah, so if you're still having problems with the link, that you just right click. You should have no problems with the link. All you would simply do is just right click that and it should be hyperlinked, okay? Okay. Yeah, no problem, Hector. I would definitely answer that. Okay. So let me put this over here. I'm going to put the chat over here. Sorry. Those of you watching on the replay, you probably won't be able to see the chat, which is why I'm trying to actually repeat the questions. For some reason, Zoom doesn't record the actual chat window. I don't know why. So I'm not going to open the book, but anyway, if you haven't gotten the book yet, you need to get that ASAP because you can actually use that in the in-class. But analyzing a case study, these are great in management, communication, and transition. All of these chapters, like I told you before, I don't believe in quizzes or reading quizzes or anything like that. My job is to get you prepared for that final exam, which is really your entire grade. So make sure that you do the reading. I'm not going to test you if you did the reading. All the reading is assigned specifically to help you with the in-class case analysis, okay? All right. So every week you have the weekly schedule. Every week you have the weekly schedule. Next week, we're going to have our very first in-class case analysis, okay? And actually, hold on a second, Chelsea. And actually, this is really important for why we need to go over the 5-step case analysis. So the job in today's webinar is just to be talking about, well, what are the steps or how do we start? And I'm going to talk about the case shred too. Chelsea asks a question just really quickly. Can we use the book only if we have a physical copy? Or is it the direct access okay as well? Direct access is fine because when we go to class next week, you're going to log in. Okay, you're going to actually take the in-class case analysis on the computer. So you're not writing anything on physical paper, and you're going to upload it to the Dropbox. So absolutely, you can use the ebook as well. Victoria asked, do we need the actual hard copy? No, you don't need the actual hard copy. No, you can use the ebook. No problem at all. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what is the 5-step case analysis. Okay. And so I've opened this up. Again, all these documents are located in your course documents in the shell, titanium. Okay, so you can see if you just listen to the directions, if you just follow the directions here, you can see that it says, it says write one paragraph for each step, but do not number the paragraphs. Where appropriate, okay, draw Where appropriate, draw your business experience as well as what you've learned in your business courses. So the 5-step case analysis, that's exactly how you're going to be approaching. And here's an example of that. So Hector, you asked me earlier, how do we better prepare? Study these. Study these documents, read the text. There's a lot of cases that you can do by yourself online. You could time yourself. You could practice by timing yourself. Okay, I have 90 minutes. I'm going to talk about what are the best practices, when you're doing an in-class case analysis. This is a great example, okay, of a case analysis, all right? And this is exactly what you're going to be writing the entire semester. Even your group projects are pretty much case analyses. I mean, the first Going Downtown project is about audience demographic, where you're going to be basically examining, analyzing, assessing what business would fit for that specific demographic. And then the final group project is solving a business problem. This entire class revolves around you being a problem solver. And this is where the big money comes in again. So this 5-step case analysis, these are the 5 steps that you're going to be asked to follow in every case. Number 1, you need to be able to define and state the problem specifically. Usually that's no longer than 1 or 2 sentences. It's really important to be concise. Well, Professor Nez, how are we going to be graded? Everything is the rubric. Everything is based on the rubric. We talked a little bit about this last Friday. I'm telling you right now, you need to sleep with this thing under your pillow. If you have any questions about grading, it all goes here. And this comes straight from the department. Okay, you're going to be getting a category for your comments in your grade. You're going to get one category content. You're going to get a number 1 through 5. One category literacy. You're going to get a number 1 through 5. One category audience. You're going to get a number 1 through 5. 1 being poor, right? And then 5 being excellent. Okay, if I can move this here, excellent at the very end there. So this is how you're going to be graded on everything. Okay. You're going to be graded on how well you understood it. So that problem statement is really a test. Okay. The problem statement is really a way to tell your audience, to tell your class, to tell the department how well you understood the problem. What is the main problem of the case? Okay. There's always going to be several little small issues. There's always going to be several problems, right? But there's always one specific one. Okay. So you want to be able to define that and state it very specifically. That's the first step when you're approaching a case analysis. Okay. And usually that's not longer than just a sentence or two, even though it says write one paragraph, less is always better. Okay. Try to be as concise as possible. Number two, excuse me. Number two, decide on the measurable short-term objective and the company's long-term goal in this case. Two things. If you go back to the example, two things that every problem really. So if you look here, you can see that this case analysis is based on Healthy Food Corporation. It's from an executive assistant, Diane Adams, to Damon Moore, Director of Human Resources. Okay, it has the date. It's written in memo format, but it's not a memo. I know that sounds ridiculous. Just hear me out. This is all from the department. It's not me. It's memo format. So what is memo format? Single space. Okay, you've got the date, you've got the two. A memo is more like, if you guys remember BUAD 201, a memo was more like a message, right? You're right. It's like almost like a letter. It's a memo. Basically, that's what it is. It's like a paragraph, letter format, right, to the company. But you're not writing a memo, but it's in memo format. Format. I'm going to do quotes here. Format. So what that means is basically all you need to do is follow this exact guideline. All right. And she writes her problem statement right there. You can see it's annotated too. You can see that I've annotated everything here. Let me move this over. Can you guys see this? Give me a Y if you can see this. How can we promote a healthier workforce and reduce health-related costs? Okay, you don't need to say at your request. I mean, that's not really necessary. I have examined measures that encourage employees to quit smoking. As company records show, approximately 23% of our employees still smoke. Okay, thank you, Manuel. Thank you, Josh, Heen, and Therese. So that's a problem statement. You're really stating the problem clearly and concisely, okay? That's the first thing that you need to do, right? When it comes to, the 5-step case analysis. The second thing, decide on measurable short-term and company long-term goals, because every problem, every situation, there's short-term and long-term, right? This is where you really talk about the significance of the problem, okay? So this is measurable, objective, and long-term goal, all right? So we can see our objective is to reduce absenteeism. Long-term should be to reduce our healthcare premium. So we have a short-term goal, reduce absenteeism by 25%, and then a long-term goal, we should reduce our healthcare premiums by 15%. Hymanot asks, is starting with a question okay? Yeah, you don't have to do that. But here's the thing. With the case analysis, here's the thing that's absolutely important. You have to show really clear, intellectual, very critical, thought. You have to demonstrate that you've done a great job of thinking about this issue. Again, I want to make this very, very clear. There's no such thing as a perfect answer to a problem. There's no such thing as a perfect solution to a problem. And thank you for asking this, Hymanot, just really quickly. I know it may seem like this is a lot of information. You're probably going to have to watch this replay a couple of times. But I want to be very, very clear. There is no perfect solution to any problem. You're not being graded, oh, that's the wrong solution. You're being graded on how well you can critically think about something, how well you understand something, and how well you communicate it. Okay? That's what you're being graded on. You're not being graded on, did I come up with the right answer? Because how could you, I mean, like for the diagnostic. I mean, those are what the prompts look like. Like, how can you come up with a perfect answer for a marketing solution or for a sales solution? You just got to do the best you can. But if you base it on the information that you're given and you demonstrate that you've done your best to really understand the case, again, follow the rubric. You've done your best to understand the case. The key thing is comprehension. You've done really good in communicating that using literacy, audience strategy, and style. Then, you've done your job. So don't think that you have to come up with the right answer. There really is no right answer. Okay. You ask anybody who's in business, you ask anybody who's in the real world, you just do your best to come up with a solution that seems feasible based on the information that you're given. Okay. Does that make sense? Give me a why if that makes sense. You're not being graded on the perfect answer because there's no such thing as the perfect answer. Okay. Fantastic. Almanaz. Okay. Almanza. Juan Morales. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome, Jimena. And again, study these examples. Look at the way that they did the headers, objective, goals, significance. And then we haven't even gotten into alternatives yet. Okay. Study those. Just study these. Hector, you asked me how to do better. Study these. Okay. State the facts. So after you come up with the short term and long term, use this as a compass. This is an outline for every single case. Use this as an outline. Number 3, state the facts and analyze how they played a part in the problem. Why? Basically, this part is all about why is this significant? Why are we paying attention to this? What's the big deal about this problem? Okay. And if we go back to our example, this is about smoking and healthcare in the workplace. This author, and you can see everything has been annotated. I've put little notes here next to each one: problem statement, long-term, short-term, facts and issues. Okay, so why is this a problem? Look at how she actually highlights significance of problem, right? Okay, why is this a problem? Employees who smoke are costly. The following statistics show the effects of smoking. Absenteeism is at 40 to 60%. Accidents, I love the bullet points. Accidents are 2 to 3 times greater among smokers. Bronchitis, lung and heart disease. Many companies have found that persuading employees to stop smoking was a decisive factor in reducing their health insurance premiums. Okay, wow. That is, first of all, that number right there, that's a huge number right there, 40 to 60%. Absenteeism is 40 to 60% greater. Does anybody not know what absenteeism is? If you don't know what absenteeism is basically, when people just don't show up to work, but not necessarily physically. It's also, well, actually it is physically, but it also kind of implies that they're not being productive, okay? And they're not doing their job, or they're not basically showing up in every sense of the word, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's the third part. That's the third part of the case analysis, okay? Is you need to state the facts of the case and analyze how they played a part in the problem. So think of it this way, like the first 3 steps are really about defining the issue and why it's important. And then the last 2 steps are all about, so what have you come up with to try to solve it? And again, I want to stress this again. I want to repeat this again. You're not being graded on right or wrong. You're not being graded on, is this the right answer to this problem? There is no such thing as a right answer to a problem. All you're doing is the best you can with what you're given and coming up with something that is demonstrating critical thinking. It's demonstrating that you've put your best effort into it and you've communicated that in the best way possible. You've written that in the best way possible. So number 4, write 2 or 3. Don't write 3, just write 2. Write 2, 3 is way too much. Unless you really want to go the distance and you have time. You have 90 minutes for all these case analyses, okay? By the time we get to the final, which is almost 2 hours you have, by the time we get to the final, you'll be sharp as a blade. You'll know how to do this down pat. Write 2 or 3 alternative solutions to the problem and evaluate the advantages and disadvantages of each. Okay, so this is where you're really breaking down what are some ways in which we can solve this. Okay, and if we go back to the example, you'll see that Diana here, Neil, 1 second. I'm not worried about page count. Don't worry about page count. Some of the prompts will say keep it under a page. And again, that comes from the department. This is a great question, Neil. Some of the prompts will actually say keep it under a page, but here's what I want. I want quality. I'm not worried about quantity, okay? And if you have 5 or 6 pages, you're doing something wrong. But if you have definitely should not go over 2 pages. But if you have, if you can do it under a page, because less is always more, it's always great to be concise, Neil, fantastic. But you don't have to. If you come in at 2 pages, you're not going to be marked down, okay? I hope that answers your question. Neil asks, are case analysis only 1 to 2 pages long? And I'm saying it doesn't matter. Less is more. So here comes the alternatives that Diana's come up with. So she has the first alternative, stop smoking. Okay, her first alternative is stop smoking programs outside the workplace. Okay, this is solution number 1 with advantages and disadvantages. Local clinics provide treatment programs. So she goes into this alternative, how we can solve this problem of healthcare and productivity losses. That's the problem, right? So she talks about these centers that are off-site that cost this much per employee, and what are the advantages of disadvantages, okay? And then she comes up with a second alternative, okay? Many local clinics offer programs at work. So there's actual, programs to help people, get their healthcare in order. Yeah, I would, Chelsea. Absolutely. So Chelsea asks, should we title our paragraphs like they're titled in the example? Yes. Follow the example to a T. Now, obviously, you wouldn't put alternative 2, stop smoking, right? But you would title it according to the case that you're studying, okay? The case that you're writing about. And in this instance, our first case analysis is based on that Coca-Cola diversity issue. The first one is a real easy one, actually. I did that on purpose, and we'll talk about that in a second. You're welcome, Chelsea. So she talks about the advantages and disadvantages of each solution. Memo format. You're writing in memo format. It's not a memo, but it's in memo format. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I know that sounds a little funky. Just don't think about it. It's fine. Then she comes up with another solution. And then the last but not least, then you have to actually pick one and run with it, okay? So if we go back to the 5-step analysis, it says after you write your 2 or 3 solutions and talk about what's good and bad about each, now you have to choose one and recommend it and support it, okay? So she actually decides to choose, if you've read this, she decides to choose the workplace stopping program that is on site. And she says, although the program temporarily reduces productivity, we can expect to recapture that loss through reduced absenteeism and reduced healthcare costs. Because this program was, I think it was $750 per employee. This one's $500 per employee. So they'll be saving money there, a couple $100. And she recommends that we begin a stop smoking treatment program company premises with 2 hours per week of release time for participants for 3 months. Okay. And her grammar and literacy are on point. So she's done the 5-step case analysis. She's completely executed the 5-step case analysis. She's defined the problem. She's talked about long-term, short-term, why it's important, and then how we're going to go about solving it. So just always remember that. The first 3 are really, what are we dealing with? Why is it important? And then the last part of the 5-step case analysis, okay, what are we going to do about it? Which one are we going to go with? Just think about that. Okay? What is the issue? What is the problem? You're going to read a prompt. So every time we come in and do a case analysis, you're going to get a problem with some companies. Some of it's marketing, some of it's performance evaluation, some of it is productivity. Brianna, let me see your question. Do we need to restate the problem in every section before continuing with the rest of the paragraph? No, you don't need to do that. Christopher, did this person get all their information from the reading, or did they use Google and other resources to find their facts? Christopher, everything should be provided in the prompt. You should use everything in the actual prompt. If you have time, you're welcome to Google, certain facts and data if you think it will really help. But it's not necessary, Christopher. That's not necessary. That's a great question. Okay. No, you don't need to restate the problem in every paragraph. No. So just remember that the 5-step case analysis this is the exact blueprint. You're welcome, Brianna. This is the exact blueprint for every single case. And these are all located where? Please, somebody write down, where are all these documents located? Somebody give me something. Yes, thank you, Chelsea. So when you come in class next week, okay, right at 8 o'clock, or if you're in my 11 o'clock class, right at the beginning of class, the clock starts. So you want to get there early. I'm going to get there early too. Right when we sit down, the clock starts. And once you log on, you're going to have the prompt, okay? And you can log into Titanium, okay? And you can use, right? This is my 8 o'clock class, but some of you are in my 11 o'clock class. You can use, okay, all of these documents. You can use the case analysis rubric, the course rubric. You can use all of that, okay? I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it at all because you still have to do all the writing and creating on your own. All right. And it's really important that you do these readings. Okay. It's really important that you do these readings. I'll give you a little hint. This case analysis coming up has everything to do with the Coca-Cola diversity issue. So you actually already have your problem. Make sure you read this interview because this class action lawsuit is based on this interview, okay? Somebody tell me how many people, well, I'm sure most of you haven't already, but how many people have actually done the reading for next week, like the synopsis class action lawsuit for Coca-Cola? Has anybody done so? Give me a Y if you've done any reading for the Coca-Cola diversity issue. Nobody. Okay, sweet. Are we still there? I hear crickets. Okay, that's fine. That's not a problem. But not yet. Thank you, Victoria. Manuel. Thank you, Victoria. Okay, that's okay. I now just keep this between you and me. Don't tell anybody. Don't go running to the department. And he gave us the prompt before the case analysis. This first one is pretty much a gimme. So make sure you read the interview and read the link here that I have, okay? And I'm going to talk about the case analysis shred. If there's no other questions on the 5-step case analysis, which again, this is the blueprint for the entire class, okay? The 5-step case analysis, you have an actual example, and you need to be married, absolutely married to this rubric. This is literally what your grade is going to be based on, everything. You're going to get a category and a number next to it. And if well, why did I get a 3 for content? What does that mean? Then you go to the rubric and you'll see 3 is average, okay? 1 through 5. I want to talk about the case shred. This document right here, okay? Now this is, I've hyperlinked it, but this is also located in where? Chelsea, where is it located again? Even if it wasn't hyperlinked, where would it be located? One last time. Thank you. Thank you, Chelsea. That's exactly right. It doesn't have to be just Chelsea. Yeah, somebody else can volunteer. Well, I did ask for Chelsea specifically, but yeah. Okay, what is the case shred? What exactly is a case shred? Let's talk a little bit about this. Okay, so we know that every single case is based upon the case analysis. So what exactly is the case shred? I'm telling you right now, you could do a case shred on this Coca-Cola case and bring that to class and use it for next week. Oops, that's my daughter, by the way. I didn't mean to do that. Where the hell's the case shred? Right here. Okay, so what is the case shred? Did anybody read the case shred or kind of understand it before I kind of go into detail about it? Literally, the case shred, okay, is a way to approach a case. It's a way of approaching a problem. It's literally, does reading it right now count? Very good, Carrie. Oh, touche. We got some funny people in this class. I love it. Yes, it does, Carrie. I'll count it. You see, I like to have fun. I like to engage in my class. I think that this technology is awesome. Like, I love this technology. I think this is actually the best way to have a class. I think we're living in the digital century. We're living in the digital ecosystem of the 21st century. I absolutely love this. And it's convenient, okay? And it's also easier for me to access documents. And guess what? I can record it. So even if you have ADD, right, in class, or if you're like me, who has the attention span of a gnat, nothing to worry about. You can always just press rewind or pause, I mean, isn't this great? I hope you guys really appreciate this. Let me know if you appreciate this. How many people are like, this sucks? It's okay if you do think this sucks. I just want to know, and I'll try to make it better. But I love this technology. I absolutely love it. Ashkan. Ashkan's in the house. I didn't see you, Ashkan. I didn't see Ashkan. Remy says he's all for it. Tommy says he loves it. I love it too. I'm so glad. Yeah, I hate driving. I absolutely hate driving. And it has really nothing to do with that. It really has to do with, thank you, Nan. Thank you, Hymenot. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Hector. Yeah, it really has nothing to do with that. Like I mean, it does, it's nice, but it's fantastic that this is recorded, and it's fantastic that I can actually answer your questions, and I can screen share so conveniently. Yeah, it does remind me of YouTube. It's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, I do live streaming anyway. I'm a live video marketing consultant. So yeah, absolutely. How's your other, well, I'll ask you in class next week. I want to talk to you about your other flip class, Estella. Okay, so what a case analysis shred is, it's literally how you would approach a problem, okay? So sometimes there might be a time here or there where I'll ask you to bring a case shred to class, but literally it's like shredding a case into parts. Think of it that way. It's like you're shredding a case into parts. So it's a process. It's a blueprint for critical thinking. That's all it is. It's just a way to give you a guide. How do you approach a problem? How do you solve a problem? Professor Nez, you're asking us to analyze cases. Professor Nez, you're asking us to use our critical thinking and be creative and come up with problems. Well, how do we even start? Where do we even start? This is a great, great document that I've created that I think really gives you step by step. This is a process, okay? I mean, look at what it's written here. Identifying and explaining each step is not always easy. Sometimes there is no right answer, okay? And that can't be any more truer said than that. Nevertheless, each aspect of the case must be scrutinized. Remember, if the process were easy, we wouldn't be practicing the shred. The long-term payoff is well worth it, okay? So these are the steps to think through problems. In class, we'll analyze case problems, okay? This is a systematic process known as the problem-solving sequence. So the case analysis represents a powerful learning tool designed to promote the development of analytical critical thinking skills. So in this step-by-step process, you can see just a blueprint for how to approach a case. And you can have this for your in-class. You can have this document open during the in-class. But remember, you only have 90 minutes. And I'm going to talk about best practices of approaching an in-class case analysis. And by the way, guys, here's another thing. I'm not a fan of in-class writing. I actually think it's just between you and me. Okay, don't go advertising this to anybody. Well, it's going to be, recorded. But anyway, I'm not a fan of it. I'll be honest with you. I don't think in-class writing is very beneficial, and studies have shown this, but this is what the department wants. And when you get to my age and you got a wife, a mortgage, and kids, sometimes you got to do what they say. So this is just what they want. Now but what my job is to try to make that process as seamless as possible. Okay. So you can see shredding it down brick by brick. First thing is obvious. Read it. Read the case completely. Okay. So this is just a way to kind of understand how to approach a problem. Read it completely through and through. Okay. Read it carefully. Take notes. Step 2. Take notes defining the state problem. Find out what the interrelated parts are. What are the things that the management is facing? Step 3, state the business problem facing management. Typically, at least one fundamental business problem is present. Problems can include tactical issues, delinquent accounts. Keep in mind that you may identify more than one problem, and in complex cases often address several simultaneous problems, okay? But fundamentally, there's usually at least one major problem. And it even, look how cool this is. Like, list the different problems you see and state them in a form of a question. This is just a way to kind of make sense, out of these cases, right? I'm sure when you did the diagnostic, and just a reminder, the diagnostic is not graded. It doesn't affect you one bit, okay? The only thing that affects you is if you didn't complete it. This is just a way for you to approach it. I mean, the diagnostic was pretty funky, right? With the kind of problem that was persistent. And if you're not a marketer, if you're not going into that aspect of your major and career, it might seem like coming out of left field. That's how some of these cases may feel. Where here, the case shred, it's a nice little compass. It's almost like a map quest, right? It's Google Maps for critical thinking. Step 4, specify objectives. Step 5, identify the issues. Which one's the most important? Step 6, consider relevant information and underlying assumptions. I mean, this is just fantastic because we make all sorts of assumptions about problems, but it's important to get to the facts. And, this is just a step-by-step. List the possible solutions, okay? And it shows you how you can do that. Because, step 4 of the 5-step case analysis is, all about stating 2 or 3 solutions, right? It's all about finding the solutions. So this case shred is a way of doing that. This is how you can come up with different solutions for different problems and break it down. It's all about breaking it down, okay? So that's what the case shred is. Choose the best solution, decide how to implement the best solution, explain how to communicate the solution. I love this document because it's literally just a beautiful Google Maps for how to go about breaking down a problem. Don't worry so much about the steps, or like how many there are. And a shred is just, it's not, this isn't an assignment. The shred is not an assignment. The shred is, again, it's just something that I've given to you to help you approach critical thinking, because I know this class is very difficult. It's not easy, this class. So you need as much help as you can, and the case shred is going to do that, okay? Any questions, any concerns, any comments, any thoughts about what we're talking about? Don't forget, next week, we have our very first case analysis, okay? If you're in my 11 o'clock class, you'll see that this is going to say 11 o'clock. We have our very first in-class case analysis, okay? So make sure that you do all of the reading. Anytime you see within that week, anytime you see an in-class case analysis, make sure you do all the reading prior to coming to class. Make sure you're up to speed on all of the reading, management communication, Appendix A in your book, analyzing a case study, really, really important stuff. The documents that I say you need to read. Make sure that you're reading all of those. And then again, make sure you're there early next week, because right when the clock starts, whether you're in my 8 o'clock or 11 o'clock class, boom, it starts right away, okay? It starts right away. And now usually... usually what happens is that, once we're done with the case, once you're done with the case, you can go home. It's pretty much hasta la pasta. However, I may have you come back and just do a brief information session about the webinar for week 4, because week 4, we're going to have another one of these, okay? So pretty much, if you really break it down, Hector asks, can we print the documents, annotate them, and use them as notes? Print which documents, Hector? The case shred and all that stuff? I mean, you're going to have access to a computer. Are you talking about actually printing like the shred or printing the synopsis and things of that nature? Sure, you can do that. That's fine. We're going to be monitored during the in-class case. Yeah, absolutely. That's fine, Hector. Not a problem. We're going to be monitoring we're going to be monitored. So everything's recorded. So if it looks like you're doing more than just looking at notes, that's where it gets a little funkadelic. So I don't want that to happen to anybody. So just to kind of confirm, yeah, you're welcome, Hector. Just to confirm, so next week is our very first in-class of 5. We're going to have 5 in-class case analysis. The majority of the class is going to be broken down into 2 parts. All the lectures will be taking place in webinar form. Whenever we have an in-class, and sometimes, and obviously our presentation too, we're going to be doing that in class. Okay. Now, if there's no other questions about next week and no other questions about what is a case, just make sure you read those documents and make sure you study the example and make sure that you understand the rubric. The rubric is everything. I want to talk a little bit about manual. Can we use Grammarly? Manual. What is that? Is Grammarly is that an app or something? I can't remember what that is. Yeah, I mean, as long as it checks your grammar. Yeah, as long as it's reasonable and as long as it's not, yeah, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. Just make sure that Grammarly is, because a lot of those apps, they kind of give you wrong information. It may seem like it's grammatically correct, but I mean, like with Microsoft Word, anytime they do a grammar check, 90% of the time they're wrong, because you got to think about this. Those apps, those programs are not written by writers. They're written by computer programmers. They don't know anything about writing. So I would advise against it, but you're more than welcome to use it. I don't think that those apps and those grammar check things, I haven't seen one yet that's been really, I would put my money on. Okay. So that's fine. That's fine, Manuel, if that's what you want to use. What I was going to say was, so the next class is an in-class. Yes, that's right, Nan. The next class is an in-class. You see the schedule here. This is week 2. We're having our webinar. We're talking about, you're welcome, Nan. This is week 2, right? 9/1. Today is the 1st of September. Next week is week 3. That's the 8th of September. And you can see it says in-class case now. It's not accessible yet because it won't be accessible until we get to class that day. This is the reading you need to do to prepare. And every week is like that. Every week, like week 5, we have another in-class, right? On September 22nd. Okay. So every week is like that. Okay. So make sure that you are following the weekly schedule on Titanium. Now, I want to talk a little bit about best practices. Okay. So you have 90 minutes. You have 90 minutes, okay, to complete the in-class case analysis. And yes, you can use your notes. Yes, you can use, the documents. You can open up. I mean, everybody's going to have their own computer. It's really important that you keep your eyes on your own monitor. That's really, really important. I want to talk about some best strategies and practices. Number 1, you have 90 minutes. I would spend the majority of that time editing, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? I say you try to do a rough draft, meaning spend 30 minutes writing and not thinking so much. Just writing it out, okay? Just writing out what you think the 5 steps would be. And then spend the rest of the time, 45 minutes, spend the rest of the time, okay? I'm sorry, 60 minutes. Then you have another hour. So spend the rest of the time editing, okay, revising. Most writing takes place in the editing process anyway. If you're one of these people who writes and edits at the same time, you're going to find yourself going back and forth and really getting frustrated, okay? And then once that clock ticks, I'm telling you right now, once that 90-minute mark is set and you don't have a case analysis turned in, I have to be very strict about this. It is a 0. The department will not let me accept it. And they see it on Titanium. They see when you submitted it. Everything's logged with timestamps. So you have to come in before that 90 minutes. Do not, I stress this again, don't wait till the last second to submit it. God forbid something happens to the document, God forbid something doesn't upload correctly, give yourself a good 10-minute, 15-minute, even 20-minute window just in case something happens. And constantly be saving your document. Constantly be saving your document. Be mindful of that. As you're writing it, save it. Keep saving it. Save it to the desktop. Okay, save it with the name of your name and the file. Everything gets deleted at the end of the day. Okay, the system deletes everything at the end of the day. So you can save it to your name and everything. And make sure that you are aware, because if there's any document problems, document errors, or anything like that, it's all on you. You're responsible for that. Okay. And I want you to do well. I don't want anybody to not do well. Okay. I don't want anybody to have any stupid technical problems get in the way of them submitting their in-class case analysis. Okay. So I would spend most of my time in the editing process. I would write in the beginning, just write as much as you can, and then spend the majority of the 90 minutes revising and editing, because that's where you can really use your critical thinking. That's where you can really go in there and take your scalpel. That's what editing is. It's like a magical scalpel, cutting out what needs to be cut out and leaving in what needs to be left in. Okay. And really designing your document as best as possible. But yeah, it's really important that you understand that I've seen this happen every semester. No matter how many times I say it, somebody waits until, the last 30 seconds. And, even if you're 1 second late submitting that, I cannot accept it, because the department sees that. And that's what comes to my job. That comes to feeding my kids and my family. And I'm always going to choose that over you. Okay. I'm a very nice professor. I try to be as forgiving as possible. But, okay, so Christopher Ma asks, can you explain how to submit? So it's literally like attaching a document, right? So when you click on this, there's the prompt right there, okay? It's going to say submit here, okay? I thought I went over this. Let me see. Hold on a second. So if I go into, it's basically like attaching an email, right? You're going to save your Word doc. Let me switch my role to, hold on a second. Let me switch my role to student. Okay, so this is what you're going to see, okay? Yeah, exactly. It's the same way that you submit your diagnostic. That's exactly right. It's the same exact thing, okay? So when this is available, okay, which I actually can't click on it right now. But anyway, just like, let's take your diagnostic. So it's the same exact thing. You're going to click on this, add submission. Here's the prompt. Click on the prompt. You write your thing. And then when you're ready to submit it, after you're done and you saved everything, you just literally attach it just like you would any file. Upload file from computer, choose file. Okay. It'll say from desktop or what have you. And it's the same exact thing as the diagnostic. Thank you, Neil. Yeah, that's exactly right. You just attach it as if it's an email, as if you're attaching something to an email, right? Same exact thing, just an attachment. That's all you do. And then when you find your document, okay, hold on. Then you would click choose, right? I'm gonna cancel this because I don't want this. Okay. So yeah, it's the very same. It's the very same concept. That's what it is. Yeah. Okay. So everybody's going to be ready for next week. I mean, you've got a real easy one, I think. I mean, relatively speaking, you got a real easy one for next week. It's basically, not to give up, I'm just going to give it away. It's basically about the Coca-Cola case. Okay. So make sure that you study those documents very carefully. Maybe even do a case shred. Hector asked me, how do I prepare earlier? Do a case shred on it. Shred it to pieces. Find out what the different interrelated parts are, okay? Do a 5-step case analysis sample, okay, maybe before. What are the 5 steps here, okay? And then, when we come in class, you can knock it out. You can knock it out, okay? And next week, after we're done, I'll explain a little bit more about kind of this flipped class process. I hope you guys got a lot out of this webinar. I know I did. I love these. And I think this is an amazing technology. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy with the way this is going out. I love the questions. I love the chat. I'm going to be Those of you who are watching this on the replay, or those of you who couldn't make it today to the webinar, or those of you who are like, you know what, I want to watch that webinar again. There was a few things I missed or I was busy. The recording, the link recording will be in week 2. So after we're done, just really quickly, after we're done here, which we're pretty much finished, I'm going to replace this Zoom webinar link. It's going to say the webinar recording, okay? And it's going to be a link to a private online YouTube account, okay? My own private online YouTube account, an unlisted account that only people who have the link can see, okay? And it's going to have all the information. It's going to have this entire recording on there, all right? Any questions before we go? Any questions, any concerns, any comments? Ashkan, an example of a prompt. The diagnostic is an example of a prompt. That's what every prompt is going to look like. That's what the diagnostic is for. Read the diagnostic. That's an example of the prompt. That's kind of part of the test too, Ashkan. That's kind of part of the sort of way of examining and assessing you guys, is how well you can understand something that you're given, that you have to read within a given amount of time. Should we be memorize how to do the memo headings? No, you don't have to memorize them. You can just use the document. You're welcome, Ashkan. You can just use the document. You have access to all these documents. You know, all these documents are in course documents. So you have access to this. You can use these. You can have these open while you're doing the case. Not a problem at all. Okay, guys? Ryan, for the books, where can I get the Dr. Lane case book? Ryan, that book it's in the syllabus. You should, if there's a link to it in the syllabus, you should be able to right click that link. You got to get that ASAP, Ryan. We talked about that last week. Well, I don't know why it didn't work. Did it work for everybody else? Because everybody else has it. Yeah, it's an ebook only. For some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, it's an ebook only. Now, if you right click this, okay, Ryan, you should be able to go right to the actual book. This is the book right here, okay? It's Dr. Lange, Advanced Business Communications. This is the book, and it's only $16. Yes, you can have your laptops. That's fine. The key to the in-class case analysis, Chelsea and everybody else, the key to the in-class case analysis is as long as you're there in class. Like, you cannot do the in-class at home. Like, you can't do it. So I take roll. That's the part of the flipped classroom. That's the hey Perry, how you doing? No, the diagnostic actually you're going to get plenty of feedback on the next one coming up. The diagnostic just goes straight to the department. The Dr. Lang book is used only for in-class case analysis. No, Jasmine. This book, we're going to be using it. It's just part of the course. It's not just for the in-class. It's for everything, because you're going to be reading cases and you're going to be reading a lot of different things. Perry, that goes straight to the department. That's not. That's just a way of assessing kind of like basic skills. Chelsea, to answer your question, so I take roll during every in-class, and I take it quietly and privately unless I don't know who it is. And I can see who's logged in, and if you're not in class, it doesn't count. So the in-class case analysis, you can use your lab, you can use any device you want as long as you're present physically in class. Okay, that's the main differential. We found that when you're not, my Zoom webinar link is different from the one I see on your screen. Maybe that's why it didn't work. So how did you get here now, Joshua? Yeah, you're welcome, Chelsea. Okay, Hymenot, if we do a shred, can we use the notes? Yes, absolutely. You can use the notes. Not a problem. Nan says the link got a problem. How many people had a problem with the link? I just went into messages and tried me. Oh, everybody did? Huh. All you were supposed to have done is just click on the link. So you're saying that you couldn't click on the link? That link doesn't work. Okay. All right. So I'll have to fix that. Well, the cool thing is I'll always be recording these, but yeah, I want you guys to be here. I had to copy the last digits in the link in the meeting. Okay. Yeah. So if that ever happens again, which that shouldn't happen, if that ever happens again, just what I'll do also is maybe like 10 minutes, 15 minutes before. Yeah, because if it's not live, it won't do anything. You have to kind of like when you click on it, yeah, for some reason when it's not live, if you click now, it won't work. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, we're in the meeting right now. That's interesting. Okay, let me see what's going on here. Yeah, I mean, for the future, don't worry about that. I'll fix that. Oh, okay. So it goes to that's weird. Okay. Yeah, for the future, what I'll do is I'll make sure that that works properly. I need to figure out. There's an external tool that I can use that actually sets it up. So I'll work on that. I thought it would just be easy by putting the web link there, but obviously that didn't work. So how did you guys get in? You just typed in the ID number? Is that right on Zoom? Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Okay. So I'll figure that out. See, that worked in my last class. My other class at work, just putting the link there. Nobody had a problem. So there must have been something wrong with this specific link. And I apologize. I'll fix that for the future. So, guys, this concludes our webinar. I thought this was fantastic. Thank you guys for joining me. I've actually marked down everybody who was here live. So I really appreciate your participation. Christopher, Ashkan, Nan, Victoria, Manuel, Chelsea, everybody who was involved. Nan, An, I really appreciate it. Again, the recording will be up in just about an hour or so. It needs to process and render, but the recording will be up probably later today because I need to actually upload it to a private link. And if you need to watch this again, I highly encourage you to watch this again, and I'll send a little message when it's ready. Okay, guys? You're welcome, James. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Hymenot. I'll see you guys next week. Be on time. Be there early. I'll be there early. Okay, you guys? I love this technology. I'm so glad. Thank you, Ashkan. This is so much better. So much better. I know. I agree. Thank you, Estella. Thank you, Karen. Okay, you guys. All right, thank you. I'll see you guys next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe out there. Okay? All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.